Welcome to the As Above, So Below podcast. My name is Andrew Swayze, and I'm joined here today with my co-host, Gunnar Regan. If you're listening to this podcast, it's likely to assume that you're a high achiever. And like Gunnar and I, as high achievers, we have big expectations for ourselves. And expectations to be successful, that is. And in today's episode, our objective is to listen to Gunnar as he shares his experiences in his career as a CrossFit athlete and how he has overcome not meeting his expectations to win and figuring out new and novel ways to learn from those failures. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hear what Gunnar has to say. Gunnar, take the mic.
Thank you, Andrew. For context, I have been competing my entire life that I can remember, and the most recent 8 years have been in the sport of CrossFit. From the very beginning, I set really big goals and told many people that that's what my goals were. And this is leading up to current time. So this is 2022, if you're listening to this in the future. So having just finished my CrossFit Games season in a placement that is less than I had written in my goals, I'm faced with the toughest aspect of winning, falling short. So I originally wrote for myself that this year was going to be the year I finish in the top 10 at semifinals of the CrossFit Games season. I made it to semifinals. However, at the event itself, I put together a performance that still feels quite bitter and underwhelming. So I moved across the country to pursue this goal with as much support from other like-minded athletes and to have support from coaches that want to be in this sport full-time. This was new to me. I've always trained on an island, which I now reflect as the story I was living out for years. I knew I wanted to win in this sport back in 2014. I knew I wanted to train to improve all the levels of my athleticism and strength. And I knew I had the physical body to make this a reality and the mental discipline to see it through. So I ended up training for this specific goal, to win the CrossFit Games. Since 2014, I've invested countless hours into physical training, all the while creating a lifestyle that supported this investment. I moved across the street from the gym. I worked out between all my school classes and coaching commitments. I ate like it was my job. When I look back, I was in my own world and thought it was enough. I set unreasonably high goals for myself and committed to making them reality. This is where my expectations led me astray. I had role models that I believed did the same things I was doing. My understanding was be in the gym, do more workouts, and eventually you'll get there. Well, it turns out I was blind to the help I truly needed. My expectations kept me from making connections with others who knew more and those who might push me in my own training. I still had the ultimate goal in mind. I still believe it is possible. Even more so now than every previous season. So this is where my expectations are now helping me understand what is necessary by being in the here and now. For me, to win is the ultimate goal. To win, I have to stack wins every single day. Training day wins are about effort and preparedness. How am I showing up to the gym? Do I have the food necessary to get me through long sessions? Do I have all the equipment that I need to have to be efficient and get new skills practiced? Rest day wins are about being present and attending to the habits that keep me healthy and supported. The expectations I once held were of grandeur and the false grounds of achievement. I mean to say, I thought having high expectations for my end goal was enough. I now know that with high expectations, It only requires me to focus more intently on the here and now. In other words, being present. What I do in this moment can be weak in the direction of my goals, or I can be present and build something solid to launch forward. I'm still pursuing the ultimate goal of winning the CrossFit Games. And now I have even more launching pads because the bitter taste of failing or falling short this past season is something I felt many times over. But I've given myself time to reflect and understand what was missing. What do I need to have going forward? So with this daily practice, winning is why I show up. It's why I show up at home. It's why I show up with my friends. It's why I show up with my family. I want to be my best self. So winning the CrossFit Games is in essence the way I want to do everything. All right, I want to be the best version of myself no matter where I go. And to get to that point, I'm going to stack wins every single day rather than sit back and allow my expectations of what could happen to cloud my judgment and again fall short. So today, I'm here, I'm winning, I'm being more present and more aware of all those little steps that are going to get me to my ultimate goal. And both that and the finite game of the CrossFit Games, winning one year, being on the podium, but also the infinite game of if I pursue myself every single day to be the best version of myself and how I speak, the best version of myself and how I read and how I eat and how I clean and how I do everything. Every little thing really does matter. My expectations no longer just drag me along and set me up for failure. My expectations are in the present. How am I going to be my best? So with that, that's my story of this season and the seasons past. Now, I want to have a little discussion about what expectations and winning really can mean.
When you say what expectations and winning can mean, what do you mean by that?
It's very meta. I am fortunate to be a coach, but also be around other coaches. And without having a plan and without having something to look at and be focused on, I think our expectations can be pulled in any direction. So it's how do we create something solid in the present moment, whether that's, all right, I'm on a rest day and I need to go get body work. I need to let someone else help me recover. All right. Or I'm going to meal prep because if I don't, I'm going to be behind and I'm not going to recover in the future. So having those things like, all right, if I expect to be at that place, I need to be focused on that now. And eventually I'll get to that win.
Yeah, it reminds me of just like sticking to the process. But to stick to the process, you got to have a plan. And you know your plan. You know the nutrition. You know the training. You know the recovery that you need to do to show up and do it day by day. So ultimately, you can stack those little wins so you can get to that ultimate goal of winning the CrossFit Games. I love it. I love it. It's so perfect for looking at how anyone really becomes successful in life. We fantasize these ideas of overnight successes, although that's just how it's portrayed. Rarely in reality are things ever overnight successes. They're long, arduous, practice again and again, day in, day out, whatever your craft is, whatever it is that you're creating or building. It takes patience and it takes consistency. And Gunnar, you epitomize that in your actions and what you do. You don't just talk about it, we see it. And ultimately, we all know, and you know that it's only a matter of time. Those chips that you're stacking, those wins, they're only going to allow you to get higher and higher and higher. And eventually you're gonna realize like how high you've come and how close you are you haven't already achieved your goal. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you. So with that, we've started a podcast, and I see this as a practice of my own. I want to be a really great interviewer. I want to be a really great orator. I want to have all these things, because the better I am at one thing means I can be even better at another thing, like training, like performing, like competing at the highest stage. Is if I'm constantly in that practice, it's going to allow me to then be better in different areas. And a lot of that has to do with reflection and understanding what is important. So like, for instance, I'm curious where you see yourself in having expectations and winning in your daily life, in your ultimate goals.
The most relevant space is in my business. I have a lot of expectations around what it is that I want to accomplish here in the studio, in my business. And it keeps me moving forward. It keeps my eye on a target, and it keeps me focusing on the little steps, the little things like you do with CrossFit, and how I need to show up every day. One of the things that really resonated with me, I learned a couple of years ago, this idea of filling up your cup and giving from the overflow. I work in a service-based job, and I realized that for me to have a successful business, for me to show up and deliver in a meaningful way, I get to take care of myself first. And when I take care of myself first, however that looks, I am able to walk into the gym with confidence and know that everything's taken care of. I just go down the list and just go one right into the next. In a way of like devil's advocate, though, you asked about things in my life that I have expectations and focus on creating practice. Ironically, in my surfing, I've been doing it for a little over 4 years now as a practice. I actually did not set much expectations around surfing outside of showing up. And because of my previous experience, going through multiple heroes' journeys in the past of, becoming this new person or learning this new thing, realizing that if I tried to focus too much my attention on that end goal, as opposed to focusing on the little steps to getting better every session, that there would be a lot more frustration involved with the process, because I had too much of an expectation around what it is that I want. And for me, I compartmentalized that part of my life to just be an enjoyable activity, something where instead of coming out of my career as a competitive weightlifter and Olympic weightlifting, it was all objective. It was all about, you hit that weight, what's the next weight, and then the next weight, and then the next weight. It just keeps. It's almost like it never ends. And so I was so ready for the opposite from that. But I will say, coming to this point now where I've just come back from a surf trip in one of the most amazing places that you can possibly surf, I got so much better at surfing last week. And I look back and reflect about where I was 4 years ago. And I had the fortunate opportunity to see some photographs and some pictures of myself surfing this past week. It's amazing to see how much of a better surfer I've become. I'm not tooting my horn and saying that I'm a professional surfer by any means, because that is not it. And that's far from it. Although I can look back and be satisfied and very happy with the work that I've put in and where I'm going. And it just excites me to continue to stick with the process. Just show up every day, get some physical activity, get some salt water in your ears and your hair, and then go on and live the rest of your life. So those are the two things that I really, focus a lot of my energy around as far as accomplishing stuff. The business more objectively than surfing. But that's how I can rate.
I love it. And to just highlight what you said is like, you got better at surfing on that trip, yet you allowed yourself to get better on that trip because of all of the other things you're doing. Right? On our other recordings, we talk about movement and why we move. And it's the same idea of like, if I am stagnant in my thoughts and my expectations of what can be or what my goals are, and I'm not taking action, I'm not moving towards something, then I'm not going to win. Right? The idea of winning is relative to you. If you're listening to this, you get to choose what your wins are. You can either have these really big, colossal goals, or you can focus on, all right, I did the dishes and my kitchen is clean, therefore my mind is quiet and I can do more things around the house. Right? Taking care of your internal thoughts allows for that external performance to show up when you want it. Right? By doing the work in the gym, with a coach, without a coach, like knowing the little things that help you, whether that's stretching or getting body work or, eating, drinking plenty of water, like all of those little wins allow me to be better towards my goals, towards my expectations of myself. Yet it has to happen.
For sure.
Right now. Has to be every day. And I encourage everyone, if you're going towards something, keep going. Keep moving towards it, because you're going to learn more about yourself by being in that place, being in the suffer, by being in the fire, the arena, right? I love the quote, man in the arena. Everyone else's expectations and ideas and criticisms of yourself don't matter, because it's all about what you tell yourself. If I'm doing things right now to get better, we're going to be better. And I'm going to eventually win. And I'm going to win now. Little things, I'm going to win big in the future.
Well said.
Absolutely. Let's land that plane.
Yeah. Well, Gunnar, thank you so much for sharing. Where can our listeners find you at?
If you're looking for me, I have 2 Instagram pages. My personal one is at Gunnar Regan. Gunnar is 2 N's and an A. And my coaching page, which I'm really excited to help people do the same thing we were just talking about, is understanding how we're winning. You can find me at Animus Coach, ANIMUS Coach on Instagram. Message me if you're looking for guidance and help towards becoming your best self. Awesome. Andrew, where can we find you?
So listeners can find me on my personal page at andrew.swayze. And if you're looking for some movement-based coaching here in San Diego County, you can find me at my other Instagram page, Swayze_fitness. And with that being said, thank you all for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe to the As Above, So Below podcast. We appreciate all of our listeners and any feedback you may have. Thank you, Gunnar. Sign off.
Thanks, Andrew. Peace.